Ladies and gentlemen, ocean liner enthusiasts, and to our friend and yours, Mike Brady from Ocean Liner Designs. This is Railroad Preserver 2000, and I believe this is the first non Ocean Liner Designs recording on Mike Brady's new game, Ship Explorer. Ship Explorer is, as Mike Brady said in the promos for the game, a game where you could that is a virtual museum experience where you can explore ocean liners and historic ships essentially from beyond the grave, meaning ships that have either been sunk or scrapped, or in SS United States' case, uh, being sunk as an artificial reef. Yeah, they're basically brought back, and you can walk around and explore them. Understand that's a very vague and brief variation of what Mike Brady said this game is about, so if you want more information, I recommend looking at his material on this game and overall the material he's released leading up to and after the game's release. As far as I know, I may be one of the first or one of a few people who were the first to record content on this game. And given the current fate of SS United States, I feel it would be fitting to start here. Currently, as you can see by the menu screen, I'm looking at towards the bow and forecastle from the bridge. I tried to get the dry dock scene to work, but all I got was a black screen. So, yeah, I figure I'll start at C and then I'll go to the dry dock if there's time or if it works. So, as Spamos used to say, without any more stalling, let's begin. So here we are on the bridge. As you can tell, we have what I believe are aluminum rails. And over here we have one of the gyro compasses. Let's see, I'm pretty sure, did Mike narrate this?
The bridge wings were crucial for docking and departure because they provided a fine, unobstructed view down the length of the ship's hull. United States bridge wings also have a polaris each, the kind of simplified compass used for maintaining bearing.
That's a good shot right there. Even today, on some of the Carnival ships I've been on, I've tried to, replicate a similar shot like this, showing, the funnels and whatnot, or funnel, seeing as on Carnival ships they're at the back, and I just crouched down. Whoops. Oh, crap. How do I get out of this? Oh, there we go. Oh. Hello. We have an actual photograph. I'll get to that in a minute. God, it's amazing to see the ship brought back in all its glory, especially since all the stuff I've seen of it show it in its gutted husk shell-like state. Like, here's the bridge as it looked. Aluminum doors, or stainless steel doors, actually. Linoleum flooring, all the machinery. You got your engine order telegraphs, your wheels, your compasses, your radar, chart table, chart desk, storm windows, rudder indicator, etc. And it's like all of this equipment on the real ship is gone. It was all taken out and sold, I would imagine in the 80s, but yeah. I believe, oh, it's just me. Oh, look, it's Captain Smith reincarnated. No, I'm just kidding, people, calm down. God, that's weird. I'm not used to that. I would imagine these doors went to different areas behind the bridge, probably a chart room or radio room. Since I'm curious, what do we
United States was designed with safety first and foremost in mind. Both the company's CEO, John Franklin, and its director, Vincent Astor, had direct personal ties to the Titanic disaster.
Hello.
Many of the key safety features were controlled in the room behind this bulkhead, the damage control room, which featured controls for fire alarms, smoke detection, watertight doors, and fire doors.
I thought you could go in there, but then I remembered the game mostly involves looking at the ship's exterior, so... Well, for now, I think it involves looking at the ship's exterior. I don't know if interiors are part of the plan later, but that would be neat to see for, like, SS United States. I say this because on the real ship, it was gutted. In 1996, it was towed to Turkey, and any remaining interiors and fittings were pretty much gutted and thrown away because of asbestos concerns. I think only the engine room is the only complete area still left on the ship, save for, other areas that were kept, like where generators were and whatnot. So now we're on the boat deck, as evident because lifeboats. Now, since I've never seen the ship and haven't looked at any material on the ship in a while, my recollection of the interior spaces is going to be rusty, but I would imagine that all these doors would lead into the various internal rooms and whatnot, but you got these wind and wave breakers here to keep the wind back down the length of the ship. Remember, this is like, I believe, close to 1,000 feet in length. Here's a gorgeous view of the funnels. I'll tell you something I'd love to see a cruise line do. I'd love to see one try to paint their funnel, at least temporarily, in the SS United States color scheme, as a way to sort of honor SS United States in a way. I think that'd be kind of nice, but who knows. Ah yes, extra life rafts. You can never have enough of them. And then your steel lifeboats. Ventilators. Sun deck. Which I believe this is also a tennis. Yeah. And then your cargo cranes and derricks. Ow! I broke my legs. I broke my legs! And of course you got your ventilators of varying types and degrees and what have you. Admiral's cargo hold. Lower promenade with the enclosed promenade deck, and got your air vents, fire lines, railings, shuffleboard, a sort of docking bridge here at the back with your alternate steering helm, and the lower outdoors deck space on the stern, complete with Old Glory flying in the wind. That's a good shot right there. Oh no! I am doing what Rose did on the Titanic. Let's not do that. Oh God. I may have unintentionally created a joke that may or may not be replicated by future players in the game. Sorry, Mike! That was not intentional! Anyways... My word, he really went all in on the interior space narration, didn't he? Oh Lord. I want to point out that this is a very, very brief overview of the game. I won't be going over everything in it, so I would recommend getting the game and looking at it yourselves if you want to get a better deep dive into this, because truthfully, I don't know what material is copyrighted or not, what's okay or not to film. Oh, this is an interesting view. In 1996, you could still see a similar view to this, but yeah. What's sad is I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff that was auctioned off the ship in the 70s and 80s is probably gone now, because remember, a lot of the people who probably bought this stuff were people who, grew up when this stuff was common, and when they passed away, their kids probably didn't want anything to do with it or didn't realize the historical value of what their parent or grandparent had, and they probably threw it away or thrifted it away. I've seen a lot of cases of that where items of major historical value that were held on to by older family members were later thrown out or, auctioned off at thrift stores or something, with their value pretty much being lost as a result. But I'll just say it, I'm glad this game exists, because stuff, it gives you a chance to see what this stuff looked like. Hold on one second. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get copy struck to death because of the music. As much as I love it, because I like this older music, I'm gonna have to mute that, unfortunately. As much as I hate to say it, I'll have to mute the music because that's probably copyrighted to death. Well, here you can see where all of the weren't they Scirocco fans? I think they were Scirocco fans. Mike, if you ever see this video, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a ship expert like you guys are, so I'm sort of flying blind here. I mean, this is where you have all of the fan machinery and ventilation machinery being housed. If you look at my videos on Carnival Legend, Fantasy, and whatnot, you can see similar events like this. Okay, I love how when you walk, the camera is tilting up and like diagonally as if the ship is listing. That's actually kind of interesting. All they need now is for when if you like zoom in real close, you can see the ship slowly moving up and down lengthwise. Because I've actually caught that on video a few times with the Carnival Fantasy class ships I sailed on as a passenger. If you look, say, at from the bridge wing aft, or from aft to the bridge wing, you can see the ship visibly rising and falling into each wave and each trough. And I believe that could be another model of SS United States that was put in to represent, like, SS America, passing from, I believe, New York to Southampton, or vice versa. I don't know. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's two other ships there. There's two other ships there. I don't think they should be that close together. I don't have... no shot. Okay. I'm seeing Queen Mary out there. Or is that the... What? You guys just saw that too, right? I think we just caught a ghost ship. Nah, it's just... Nah, it's just SS America casually going ghost ship mode. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so there's the Queen Mary passing off in the distance. I'm pretty sure that's an Easter egg, but if it's also a reference to the Poseidon, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I'll actually kind of laugh if Mike Brady actually added the Poseidon into the game as a joke, because, I mean, even though Paul Gallico didn't openly state what ship he was referencing in the book, he was on board Queen Mary during World War II when it nearly capsized, and that was the inspiration for his book, the Poseidon Adventure. So, hence why they, filmed it on Queen Mary in the 1970s. Of course, if I recall, Paul Gallico wasn't very fond of the film's ending. He actually, in the book, had it so that the ship sank at the end. Now, if I recall, I think the book was a lot more mean-spirited, too, where it basically made the survivors in the film, their book counterpart, it made their effort going through the ship to find a way out be all for nothing. Because I think in the book it showed people from the ballroom being rescued, but I don't know. I don't remember. Plus, that was from some online article, too, so, take what I just said regarding that with a major grain of salt. This is a good shot here. My photography senses are tingling. There's a view you'll never see again. Even on a modern ship, it looks nothing like this, and that's a shame. Anyways, I believe there's a dry dock mode, but I don't know what that's like. Oh, God. Oh, look! This is what happens when you take a bit too much penicillin or whatever it is. Or whatever it was in the 50s that people got hooked on. Oh, God. Ah! Ship's wheels just spin like crazy. Boat just... No. We're just going to casually drift a 990-foot-long ocean liner. What could possibly go wrong? Ship proceeds to do a sideways wheelie, because why not? Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. Just kidding. I'm actually not the captain. Wait a minute. If I'm not the captain, who's steering the boat? And there's your rudder indicator. Honestly, you know, it makes... I'll just say it. Had the helmsman on Costa Concordia had the rudder indicator right in front of his face, instead of above his head, it would probably have been a lot easier to kind of avoid that rock. You know, just saying. And if I recall correctly... Oh, is this... Wait. What the heck is this? Is this the ship's wheel or... No, ship's wheel. What is this?
The flag board was used to house the ship's various flags to be run up the halyards attached to the antenna mast. Anything from the house flag showing the colours of the United States lines to signal flags conveying United States intentions.
Ah, okay. You know, that's the first time I think I've seen this sort of thing. Funnily enough, I don't think this is still on the real ship. I don't think they ever found it. Ah, yes. It's what my... Oh, look! It's the literal representation of my last name. Just add an E and you get it. I'm just sweeping up the mess. Have you noticed on top of everything, it's also raining? That's a bad sign. If I'm not mistaken, this... Yes. I wondered if you could do that. I wanted to do that before going to dry dock. So, let us respawn. Oh, wait, that's the bridge. Wrong button. Main menu. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Fleet. We'll look at Morro Castle in a minute. That ship is infamous. Ah, yes. Engaged in Bismarck. Anyways, moving on. Let me try to get the dry dock up. Oh, crap. Sorry, I can't show the archive film because I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted. So, yes. Here we are in the dry dock. And, now that is a view nobody will ever live to see again. Unless they somehow dry dock the ship before it's reefing, just to make sure the ship doesn't kinda, you know, commit an SS America. Let's get a nice panoramic shot here, like a wide-angle lens. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous shot there. I would imagine they'd have the anchor fixed somewhere, even in its lowered position. Because, you know, reasons, but who knows. Yeah, so here's the bow of the SS United States. What's interesting is, if you'll notice, yes, it's got that pointed bow, but if you look in the front, there's a slight bulbous bow right here at the very bottom of the ship, and I think Mike will explain that when we hit the E.
United States bow shape was ideally suited for slicing through waves. It would provide a more comfortable ride for passengers and enable her to maintain her high speed. But below the waterline, a slight bulbous bow also made her more efficient, burning less oil and making it easier for her to cut through the ocean.
And remember, and I want you to remember this ship could go so fast that its bow was literally sandblasted from the water, if I recall correctly from one of the interviews. They said the ship was going so fast that the paint was sandblasted off. I think even to this day, people don't know exactly just how fast the ship could really go. Honestly, even if they had never restored it for proper ocean-going service, I would have loved to see them restore it enough to run, just so they could finally see once and for all just how fast the thing could truly go. You know, it's like a lot of these steam locomotives here in America that were claimed that, you know, were rated for 100-mile-per-hour speed, like A44, for instance, as Steve Lee famously said in one of the early documentaries. Am I stuck? I think I'm stuck. Steve Lee famously said in one of the early documentaries that, you know, with the Northerns, they still didn't know how fast they could really go. Like, I know 611 was rated for 110 mile per hour operation, but I'm sure if it was really pushed, it could go a lot faster. But you'd have to know exactly what you were doing, and you'd have to move valves and stuff just right to find that sweet spot to get the speed out. But who knows? Oh yeah, there's your loading lines and your depth markings. Yeah, the depth markings there, and then your load lines there. I love it. When I was on board John W. Brown in Baltimore back in 2021, major shout out to those guys. I was, I think, the only person touring the ship out of everybody on there. I was the only visitor. I knew everything about the Liberty ship except that marking there, and I love it. The guy actually laughed. He's like, I found something you don't know about. I hate it because I wasn't filming at the time, so I don't remember what he called that, but you can see all the boarding doors and related cargo doors there along the length of the ship's shell plating here, along with all the portholes and whatnot. You know, I wonder if they take all the portholes and whatnot out, will they sell them? Because I'd love to buy one. That's only if they actually sell them. And right here is your keel blocks. That's pretty much holding the weight of the whole ship. Although, to be fair, they would have more keel blocks going along the length right here where the ship's main width is to give extra support. And then, of course, you guys knew this was coming. Right there is SS United States' propellers. And she was a quad screw steamer, meaning she had 4 propellers. 4 shafts, 4 propellers. If you'll note, the first pair are 4-bladed. But the closest ones to the back are 5-bladed. Then, of course, you have the rudder. More depth lines. And I believe the steering room, gear room, is pretty much where those portholes are between the name and the port of registry. Unless, of course, they're up where the doors are in the stern. I tell you, that would be interesting if they could. I don't even know if it would be possible to do, but I would love for them to go into the ship and save all the equipment from one of the boiler rooms, one of the engine rooms. Basically, I'd love it if they removed one entire drivetrain from the ship, along with one boiler room, one generator room, and etc., like all the equipment in it and whatnot, and, you know, set it up on land so you could have essentially a cutaway of how this thing would have worked, you know? I don't think that's ever been done with any ship that's been either preserved or saved at all, you know, in terms of stuff that's been scrapped or reefed. I bring that up because that would be neat, and it would be a way to honor the ship's incredible power plant. Because I'll just say it, I don't know of any marine turbine plant that has been preserved, you know, outside of the ship it was built for. I know of a lot of old steam-powered ships that had marine expansion engines. When the ship was scrapped, a lot of times the engines were saved. But I don't know of any steam turbine plants that were saved. Probably due to the complexity of getting them out of the ship. I mean, but to be fair, if they're going to be reefing SS United States anyway, I don't see why it wouldn't be... I don't think it would be impossible to cut the hull open and... you know, disassemble the turbines, the boiler, and other stuff of interest, and you know, catalog all the parts and pieces, and then rebuild it on shore. You know, to show a cutaway of what all that stuff looked like. But who knows? You know. Plus, it wouldn't be impossible to build a mock-up either. But who knows? Can I not get out of here? I thought there was a way out of here. Oh well. Yeah, this is the ship in dry dock, and it is impressive as all get out. I just hate that I can't get out to show it from above, but actually, wait, wasn't there... I'm not good at these tutorial things. Let me see, controls. Okay, photo mode. Okay, so there's actually some sort of an invisible wall. Okay. Nah, the apocalypse is coming. Nuclear holocaust. The ship is nuked. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking, okay? I'm joking. Alright, there we go. Judging by my yawning, you can tell that this is a rather late thing. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go and get to the Morro Castle now. Now, I think I may be okay to show the stuff regarding Morro Castle because it's close to 90 years old. It's been close to 90 years since that happened. You know, 1934. I bring that up because my late great-grandmother was born in 32 and she passed in 2021 at 89. So, you know, it's 90 years now. So I would imagine whatever film reels have been preserved are likely public domain. But who knows? And I'm not going to go into the history of the ship. If you want to know more about it, I implore you to check out Mike's documentary on the Morro Castle because, oh my God, it was one of the best maritime documentaries I have seen. And there's a lot of people who've made a lot of really good ones. My friend Jesse, for instance, he made a good documentary on the Oceanos incident. Brick and Mortar, he made a great documentary on the Marine Electric, which I really kind of hope gets into this game because I don't think it's ever been modeled digitally before, save for that Disasters at Sea series, which, let's be fair, you can only do so much with that. Oh boy. That's terrifying. We'll get to that in a minute. I have to skip that just to be safe. And here's an example. Okay. Triple expansion engines. And here's a good example of the sheer contrast between Morro Castle and SS United States. They're vastly different ships because they were built in different periods of time. Like, this is 1933. That's crazy. My great-grandmother would have been a year old when this ship, in that year. She would have been 2 or 3 when the fire happened. Bless her soul. Dementia got her in her final year or two. Once she went to a assisted living center, she went quick, but it was a blessing. Oh, hello, what have we here? Blueprints. Wait, why do they have the blueprints outside? That's not smart. That would get ruined in the weather. Just saying. Oh, it's an Easter egg. Okay. I see what they did there. Okay, so is the bridge accessible on this model? No, I don't believe it is. Question mark? Yeah, we're up on the Monkey's Island, and here's the compass, the binnacle compass. Oh yeah, the one of the old adverts for the Ward line. That's right. And you'll note the engine sound. I didn't point it out on SS United States, but you don't hear the iconic, heartbeat type sound of the steam engine on SS United States because marine turbines. Here you got the tried and true triple expansion marine engines, which interestingly enough were already obsolete by the time John W. Brown and Jeremiah O'Brien were built in World War II. Even more interesting of a fact, if you're ever in Baltimore, Maryland, I highly recommend checking out John W. Brown and NS Savannah. The Brown was built in, I believe, 42 or 43. NS Savannah was technically finished in 52 or 53 and commissioned shortly thereafter. But, I always found it interesting. When I was in Baltimore, I loved that they had the ships moored side by side, even though that wasn't intended and just purely coincidental. I loved that the two ships were moored side by side because it gave a casual observer a chance to see literally just how fast the shipbuilding evolved. Literally in just the 10 years between World War II and NS Savannah's inception. Like, literally, Kaiser's welding technique for the Liberty ships was pretty much put into full effect with NS Savannah. And just overall, the aesthetic design, was completely different from, John W. Brown. Like, John W. Brown was built for, with functionality over looks in mind. And as Savannah, it was the other way around. It was meant to look appealing to the eye, which ultimately caused it problems when they tried to use it revenue-wise. Well, there's one way to get up to the forward deck. Just walk up and drop down. Oh, and I've seen this on the ships before. I've stood on deck and watched the sun go down many times. You'll always see this hue, like the blue sky, the twilight of the sunset, and then just, cloud cover moving in as it gets towards night. And yes, people, we're at the bow, and no, I'm not going to do the Titanic thing from James Cameron. I am, however, going to give a nod to Peter Konego of Midship Century, or Midship Cinema, because he often would go to the front of the older liners and get focal shots just like this. Honestly, to Mr. Konego, if you're able to get this game, I think you would enjoy this very, very much. Because it would give you and other viewers a chance to see these ships that were pretty much gone before any of us were ever implanted, and even our grandparents' eyes, for lack of a better term. Because I'll just say it, the number of ships that are from the 30s that still exist are pretty much very, very slim. I know the Great Lakes is famous for its multi-decade-old ships that are still sailing around all over the place. But there was one ocean-going vessel that had a similar claim to fame, and that was the Doulos, which has been happily preserved as a landlocked hotel somewhere, I believe, in either the Philippines or somewhere else. I don't remember. Also, you'd think they'd have lights on the bow because, yeah, here's a good example of why they didn't want passengers up here, even at sea. When it gets dark, there's no lights, and you can't see all this painted stuff here that's painted black, so it's a major tripping hazard. Like, there's anchor chains, hatch covers, ballards, anchors, you name it. It's all there. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, since the ship has had the fire animation, there's going to be some interior here. Oh yeah, look at this. This is what Art Deco was all about, ladies and gentlemen. This gorgeous, gorgeous woodwork, but that same gorgeous, beautiful woodwork, as famously stated, is what would also... yeah, I'm trying to come up with something eloquent for this, but... or elegant. I don't know why I got eloquent, excuse me. Yeah, this beautiful woodwork is what is often associated with Art Deco interiors aboard ships, but you know, unfortunately, while the wood is beautiful, it's also makes a fire become a beast. And that's what happened to Morro Castle. This gorgeous woodwork ultimately betrayed the ship and the people aboard. Okay, now this is almost something out of Titanic. If you look, you know, honestly, as I just tried to say, if you didn't know what ship you were on, you would immediately assume this is Titanic or Olympic, because the corridor looks almost identical woodwork-wise, but even then, with just a few obvious changes. But you got the same light design, and pretty much it's probably the same wood design too, with just different molding and whatnot. I'm so tickled they made the lounge. They didn't have to do this, but I love what they did. And then here's the lifeboat davits, which of course are the gravity davits that you would have seen on all these ships up until the more modern ones. And fun fact, if you look at the very last clip on Jesse's Oceanos documentary, he actually used one clip of my video footage in the final cut, which is a sunset shot from one of the cruises I was on. And I believe the lifeboat davits on the Fantasy class ship were a more modern variant and design of these gravity davits, but the principal design was still the same. They were just built different. And no, I'm not being a meme, I'm just saying. Well, we've now seen a bit of the Morro Castle in life. Now it's time to see her in her death throes. Because you gotta remember, fire at sea was and still is a very, very real and horrific danger. I mean, there's people who still have nightmares of this. Because no matter how safe a ship you make, it's like this, you know, it's like no matter how safe of a ship you build or how safe of a ship you design, there is always going to be a weakness. There's always going to be an Achilles heel. There's always going to be something in some way for that ship to be destroyed. Now, I believe this is public domain. I think this is silent. Also, fun fact, I think my friend Jesse actually did or still has an old film projector just like this. And believe it or not, it still worked and he played some film on it, which, if you look on his channel, I think he still has a video, and there's the ship burning. This was probably shot from an early biplane, if I had to guess. Yeah, there's Morro Castle, under tow and still smoldering. Probably filled with the cremated or partially cremated remains of those who never made it off the ship. And I don't mean to get gruesome, but that's what you would have. That's pretty much what happens when anything organic is put inside of a steel box like that that's on fire. The heat is just so intense that it's like an incinerator, basically. Oh Lord, there we go. Yeah, 1934. Oh yeah, this is terrifying. You can see the paint is scorched. And I want to stress, I recommend highly seeing the documentary covering this fire. I mean, I have no words. Truly, I have no words for this. I love the way you're walking. It makes the ship look like it's sinking. It's really not. And I gotta remind you, this metal here would have been scorching hot. You probably would have been burned if you touched it. And you can see the power, of course, is starting to fail because, you know, the fire is melting and burning through all the wires and lighting and whatnot. So, of course, it's going to do that. I gotta wonder if there's even a way to... Oh, yeah, you can go inside. Now, I'll put it like this. If you were ever... Now, I'll put it like this. If you were ever in this situation in real life, even on a modern ship, do not do this. Do not do this under any circumstance because you will die. I'll put it that way. And there's the lounge. There's where the fire was. Look at that. Well, this confirms you're a ghost. You can just walk through fire. And then there's your water buckets, which would, of course, do nothing. I mean, at this point, even if you got a hose on this, the heat from the fire was likely so intense that, I mean, the water would have evaporated before it even reached the flames. Yeah, and if you were in this room, you'd be dead. I'm just saying, you'd be dead because the floor would be on fire, the furniture would be on fire, everything in here would have reached its flash point and would be a flame. Especially the wood paneling, which of course, using oil for polish and flammable paint, well, yeah, it's not hard to see this whole room glowing all pure red hot with flames. Also, I don't think you'll be reading any of those books anymore, but I'm sure they were a rather hot topic at the moment because, as you can tell, they're glowing ember red. They're glowing ember hot right now. Not gonna lie though, also that's a really neat texture. Yes, stare into the nautical eye of Sauron, and you will find what you seek. I'm just kidding. I'm just being funny with that. But anyways, I love like there's a weird animation on the books for some reason. That's not creepy at all. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here before we just casually become barbecued captain. But actually, never mind. Well, actually, no. The ghost thing is not all that far-fetched. I mean, the captain did die on the ship. I've heard of the floor is lava, but I never thought I'd be saying the piano and piano seat are lava. Now, whoever must have been playing this was hitting them keys hot, I suppose. I'm sorry for all the fire puns. I apologize in advance. And here's the promenade. There's the lifeboats. There's the reason the fire got so hot in the lounge area is because of the vents. While they were good for ventilating spaces outside of the fire, when the fire did happen, these proved to be the ship's undoing because they pretty much acted as like blowers in a blacksmith shop. They fanned the flames so much and so hot that there was simply no way you could get the fire under control. Which sort of begs the question, could they have gotten the fire under control if they had stopped the ship? Because then without the forward momentum, the airflow would stop or significantly slow. But even then, I would imagine the fire would have grown enough to where it would have created its own artificial draft, sucking air in to continue burning. But who knows? But this is, again, a very, very, very quick overview because, it's getting late for me and I don't want to be staying up till midnight. But I wanted to get, something regarding this game out to sort of spread the word about it. But I recommend checking it out if you have the game and if you're able to get it. Because I'm already loving what I'm seeing and I'm looking forward to what comes next. So, this is Railroad Preserver 2000 on the Morro Castle Ablaze.